It's all about angles.
Good afternoon, everybody, and excited about spring. I like the team. It's a fun group. Chemistry was good. I really enjoyed our team 2 years ago that started 9-1, and there were no expectations. I kind of feel like this spring's been the same. Expectations are lower, a lot of new faces. 30 new guys played in Kenan Stadium for the first time in the spring game in front of people. But they like each other. They've got a little chip on their shoulder, and they've worked really, really hard. And they've worked hard to try to just get better in every area. And we haven't had issues with kids arguing at positions or they know we're trying to develop more players and get too deep. So they've really worked toward that. And we'll just kind of work through here with each player and talk to you about who we felt like did really well. Coaching staff, the evaluation of, the offensive staff just continues to grow. And their goals were to come in this spring and figure out what this team can do. You change quarterbacks, you lose Drake. What do you do? What do you do different? Your face is Omarion. You've got 4 new offensive linemen. The tight ends weren't practicing the first 2. The top 3 or 4 receivers weren't practicing. So what do you do in spring practice to get where you need to get? Well, we said it's a great opportunity to teach young people how to compete and play and give them a better chance to play in the fall. So, and then you've got 2 quarterbacks that are competing at a high level. How do you separate them? What do you do? How do you figure out what each one does best? And then when you're calling plays, don't call North Carolina plays, call Connor plays, call Mack's plays, and make sure that you're emphasizing what you feel like they do best. And then they were competing every practice, so we actually had them practice the same number of plays with the blue team, which is our first team, and the white team, which is the second team. We let them take every snap. And we said, even though there's some inconsistency in the route running with really young receivers, or maybe even some walk-ons, we're working with the white team at times, they both had the same opportunities. And they both had to overcome some adversity. They both had to work through some things. They both had to feel some pressure because the second offensive line, the white offensive line, was not as well prepared and doesn't have as much ability right now as the blue offensive line. So looking at all that, I felt like the offensive staff has done an outstanding job of trying to figure out a new identity. What are we going to be? And that'll be a big part of what we will do now between now and the fall. Who are your best players? Who are your playmakers? Who are you going to get the ball to? And how are you going to do that? Who's going to win the game? And then, again, trying to figure out in the offensive line, who are your best 8 and who are your best 5, and then rotating. Do you have a center that plays guard also? Getting your best players involved. Defensively, you bring in Jeff Collins, you elevate Ted Monachino, and then you've still got Tommy Thigpen, Jason Jones, and Charlton Warren. And how does it mix? They've had great chemistry. That's one thing Jeff does. He brings everybody together. He's like the Pied Piper. Everybody wants to follow him. He's fun. He's high energy. I've been impressed that he's all inclusive. Everybody in the room, he knows their name. He's going to ask them questions, and he's going to get them involved. And even he crosses over when the offense makes a great play. He'll sprint across the field and chest bump a player just to say, man, you're giving us fits. I love that. I love it. It's on my team. And he's done what he told me he was going to do. He's looked complicated and he's been simple. So in talking to the Elijah Huzzies at lunch and the Geo Biggers who's come out to practice and talks to all the players, just listening to press conferences, when you all ask the guys, they're all talking about how aggressive we are, but how simple we are. And that communication's really good. And that's what he told me he was going to do. And now the next step of that was we're going to play a lot of players. And I see that in his mindset. He's not worried about a guy going in. He's not a guy who's nervous about this guy. I'm afraid to put him in. He throws him out there and says, turn it loose and let it go. So in both of those areas, I thought that he and Ted have really stepped up and done a tremendous job in those areas, and we'll talk some about that as we go through the players. Let's start with the offense. You start looking at quarterbacks, which is always a fan favorite to coach and talk about. Everybody loves that quarterback battle. We're lucky that we feel like, and this will sound like it's a press conference statement, but we feel like both of them can play today. And that's a blessing. And we feel like both of them can win today. They're two of the nicest young men I've ever been around. They both have outstanding families. They like each other a lot. They're pulling for each other a lot. There is no animosity in that room. And they both have things that they do better than the other one. We've just got to figure out which one is going to be the most consistent, who's going to lead the team the best. And that's partly what summer's for. When you get back at the end of summer, you ask the other players who worked the hardest, who's the most consistent in your mind, and you got guys you trust. And they see them every day. We don't get to see them every day in the summer because we can't see them throw. And that really, really helps you when you come back and they have a feel. It was Drake and Jacoby Criswell were even when we left. In fact, they both had great spring games. We came back in August, and I said, what up? And Jacoby had gotten hurt over the summer, and he didn't get to work as much, and Drake was winning every drill. So they said, Coach, I think Drake right now would be the guy. Jacoby's great, but right now, Drake would be the guy. And kind of the same with Sam Howell when we first got here. So the players can help you with that as you go forward. But they both can do similar things. They've got to both be consistent, and they've got to be confident. And they're both really smart, and they're both confident. And I think that's why they can handle each other so well. And I was impressed with Michael Merdinger and some of the things he did when he walked in the other day. He's got a good arm, he can run. He didn't get to do a lot this spring, but he has a chance. Running back, we feel like the room's good. Omarion Hampton is who he is, and you saw he's definitely staying here, so that's good moving forward. But he's one of the best backs in the country. Darwin Barlow has gotten better every day of spring. He looked really good in the spring game, and he's a big body that we feel like can go in and play. We were very impressed with Davion Goss. He's played older this spring. He didn't do a whole lot the other day, but he's a good runner. He's got good ball security. He's 215 pounds. He's very physical. He pass protects better than most any young running backs I've seen coming in. He's got really good hands, and he plays older. Caleb Hood is really good. We all know that. What we've got to do is make sure that Caleb does everything possible with the trainers and the strength coaches and the nutritionists between now and the fall to make sure we quit having pulls. He's had so much tough luck. But if we can get him on track, he's really good, and he's very talented. And we've been impressed with Major Bird. We moved him over, and he's a young guy that can catch him, run. He's got good vision, and he gives you that fifth back. So we're not as aggressive in the transfer portal right now at running back as we were before he moved over, because you got 5 backs, you got a chance to be good. So we're in better shape there. We know J.J. Jones, but Jordan Shipp, Vari Green, and Alex Taylor really stepped up as freshmen, and they got a lot of work. Lonnie Galloway's got a strong room too. These guys have done an amazing job of recruiting in each area. Nate McCullum is playing like the guy that we saw at the Minnesota game last year. He's played at a very high level. He's got his confidence and his quickness and his speed back. He's had a tremendous spring. And then you start looking at the guys that are out. Kobe Pesar will be back. Gavin Blackwell will be back. Christian Hamilton did some good things this spring. Chris Culver and Paul Billups did the same. They look like superstars at times. And Chris didn't get to play Saturday, but he's got speed like Tez Walker, and he's tall. He's got length. And Paul Billups has had an outstanding spring. So there are a lot of wide receivers there that all can play. We got to figure out what 6 are going to get most of the reps. And again, we need to start playing 2 deep with our receivers. Every starting wide receiver for Lonnie Galloway since he's been here is in the NFL. And that's pretty powerful. So, and most of the running backs that have started here in the NFL. So it's a great message to the recruits as they come in. Howard Sampson at left tackle has been a huge addition for us. I don't mean huge, 6'8". I guess 325 is huge, but he's aggressive. He's got great feet. He played most of spring with a pull, and he's tough. He wouldn't come out. He wouldn't miss practice. And he'll just get better and better. He's got 3 years left. Janai Norwood is a young guy that we're talking to right now, but he'll probably stay on offense. He played both this spring, and that's what we told him in recruiting, because he played both in high school. And my deal is we let them play where they want to, and then let them play both sides if they want to, and then we figure out what's best. But he played really, really well at offensive tackle. You've got Andrew Rosinski's another young guy that's going to be really good down the road. I thought Randy did an outstanding job of recruiting offensive linemen. Zach Greenberg was at the game the other day. He's 310 pounds now, I think. And he'll be a very interesting transition because he's played Division III football, and he'll come in and play guard and center both. And he's excited. He's been down 2 or 3 different times, and he's seen us practice. He's been in meetings, and we're excited about him. Aiden Banfield has had an outstanding spring for a freshman. There's no question that he can play in games next year. He's tough, he's smart, he's got great feet. He's about 300 pounds, so we're very, very impressed with him. Austin Blasky, we're so blessed to have him. He can play all 5 spots, but he played center, he can play guard, and be interchangeable. We feel, again, like Zach Greenberg can be a center. Bo Burks, a young walk-on, was really, really good for us this spring. And we appreciate all the hard work that Bo put in. Willie Lampkin played Summit center this spring, so he can go center and guard. He's just turned into a great leader and player. He's tough. Blasky's tough. Those guys are leaders right next to each other. Malik McGowan had a good spring. He started a lot of the spring, and he is a guy that we can put in. He and Jonathan Adorno both stepped up and did some good things. Trey Green played really good throughout the spring. He's coming into his own. He's lost some weight. He's much more confident. He played well on Saturday. And Ja'Kai Leftwich will be here in a couple of weeks. He and Jeff Greenberg. So you've got really about 7 or 8 guys there for the first time since we've been here that we feel like can all play. And we want to keep fresh guys in there. So you've got to look at who your best 5 are, and would your backup tackle be the starting right guard or left guard? So you got to look at all that. That's what Randy and I and Chip are doing right now. Who are the best 5, but who are the best 7? Who are the best 8? And how would they play? And how would we rotate them? And we haven't seen Zach Greenberg, or Ja'Kai Leftwich, even though Pat and Coach Collins saw him at Georgia Tech. So they know more about him than Randy or I do right now. But we'll all see that in the fall. Bryson Nesbitt and John Copenhaver, 2 NFL prospects, weren't out there this spring, but that really helped us work. Jake Johnson, Ryan Ward, and we had 2 young guys, Deems May and Court Halsey, the young walk-ons like Bo Burks, that stepped up and did a really good job for us. But that room's got a heck of a chance. We got to figure out who the 3rd one is. You've got Bryson and John that have played a lot. Jake did some great things this spring. Then you've got Julian Randolph coming back off of a knee. You've got Ryan Ward, who played all spring as a true freshman and did some good things. And you've got Timmy Lawson, who's coming off of a knee. So a lot of those guys will get looks in the fall as well. Any questions on offense?
You mentioned Zach Rice last week.
Zach's doing better. I've got this in front of me. All of them. We've got great competition right now at guard. You've got Zach, you've got Adorno, you've got McGowan, you've got Lampkin, and you've got Banfield, and you've got Greenberg coming in.
Yeah.
So we've got more good players at those positions than we've had since I've been here.
Are you seeing from him the adjustments he needed to make to become a college offensive lineman?
Yes, he's really worked hard on his footwork and his hand placement. And that's what he's got to. His trainer was down here the other day, and he comes down some and just watches the video and helps him as well. But he's got a great attitude. He's trying really hard, and he's made a lot of progress.
Mack, we didn't see Cody anywhere out there on Saturday. Did he have another setback with anything?
No, he had another operation. He had it tweaked again, so he's getting it fixed.
Foot?
Yeah, it's just he had soreness from the other operation, so it's nothing big. So it was something to go in and relieve some pressure or something. So it wasn't a big deal.
Okay.
But he'll be fine for summer workouts and should be back ready to go.
He'd been practicing a little bit, just non-contact, right? We saw him going through drills, I feel like.
Yeah, and it was sore.
Yeah.
And we just want him to, he's had a load on him with both the same bone in each of the 2 feet getting broken against air. He didn't touch anybody. That's a load mentally. So when he came back and he started running and it was still sore, we said, let's go make sure everything's well. So they just cleaned it up.
Gotcha. Thanks.
But he should be good.
Does that affect timeline for him?
No.
Because he wasn't going to be able to do anything full until fall anyway, right?
Yeah. He'll get to work all summer. In fact, everybody, see how to put this, everybody on our team should be released and ready to go at this point for fall practice. We don't have anybody who should be limited. And that's why they fixed Kamen Rucker's finger, because they wanted him to get the lift earlier than not. So we weren't going to play him a whole lot the last 2 weeks of spring practice, so let's get him in there and get him fixed.
Did Gavin or JJ get any work this spring?
Gavin got some drills late. JJ got a few drills late, but not much. None of those 3 receivers worked very much. I do think the young ones got their attention, so they'll get back out there pretty fast.
Like you said, both quarterbacks could play today. Do you anticipate maybe in the fall that if everything is all equal, that you might be playing both quarterbacks in games this year?
Charlie, it's a great question. You know, we did that with Mike Thomas and Jason Stanisak. We did that with some other guys late that were both really good players, and it worked for us. We left the one with a hot hand in the game. So I haven't been in that situation with Chip before. So, and we've got such great quarterback people here. You start looking at Freddie Kitchens and Clyde Christensen and Lonnie Galloway's played quarterback, and then you got Chip. You got a lot of knowledge in that room. And I haven't even met with them after the spring game. We'll do that this afternoon at 3. But it's definitely a possibility if we feel like that neither one of them separates over the summer. And right now, I haven't talked to the guys, but both of them did really, really well. And I do think that they felt like leaving Saturday when I was talking to them that both of them could step up and play right now. So I think that'll be an interesting conversation for the summer. It'll be good when we get the players back together at the end of summer to see what they think, and then they'll have great competition. And we're going to try to get another quarterback in the portal because we lost Tad Hudson. So you need 4, and a lot of people have 5. We feel like you got to have 5 running backs, and Major Bird could be that 5th one now because he stepped up. But you've got to have 4 quarterbacks, and most people have 5. So we will look for a quarterback, even though we feel like these 2 are in a good position to move forward.
I know it doesn't benefit you to say someone's name right now on April, whatever the date is. But for you personally, when you guys got done with your spring game and you're sort of sorting it all out in your head, do you have in your mind who you think is ahead in the quarterback competition? Just for you personally?
Yeah, again, Adam, it's a great question. I go back and forth. It's really interesting and just being totally honest, I go, one day I'll walk off and say, he was great. The other one struggled a little bit. And then the next day I'll say, that one had confidence. He had a hot hand, but I don't know. So that's the good and the bad of it. We just need to get one of us more consistent. You look at it, they were both throwing with new tight ends. They were both throwing with new wide receivers. And the offense changed for Connor some, but it's a whole new offense for Max as you look at him too. So I honestly, have walked, and I'd say to Clyde sometime, what do you think? And he'd say, I don't know. I thought this one was better today, and I thought the other one was better coming into today. So that's what we've got. They both have to keep working and get more consistent before one of them could take over.
Mack, along those same lines, when you're reviewing the film of the spring game on Connor and Max, or if you already have, are you judging it like you would an actual game, or is it different because of some of the challenges you mentioned?
It's different because in spring games you don't have game plans. So you might see a blitz that would get to the quarterback, and there would be a way for him to handle that in the fall. But we're totally looking at evaluation of personnel on Saturday. You don't even worry. Sometimes you've got some white team guys playing with blue team, or got some gray team guys that are around. We don't even think about who's in there against who. We try to look at the number of plays. We wanted to get the players that we're really evaluating, and we told the guys, we didn't even care about score. I don't even know what it was, because we didn't even keep it. We had a number of plays. We didn't have a scoreboard to tell us how long we were going to be out there. And I think it was like 73 plays or something when you add the kicking opportunities to it. But no, the thing that we want to do is see how they handle pressure. We didn't even check. You know, there might be a few simple checks. Jeff did very little on defense. I'm sure there were some people there watching that we'd rather not be there. But it was totally about evaluation of personnel.
Last week,
You talked earlier just in your statement about the difference in calling Connor plays versus Max plays. Can you just break that down a little bit for us?
Yes, there's certain throws that some of the players like better than others when they're at quarterback. We went to Vince Young when we got to Texas, and he was a young guy, and he was a freshman, and he was struggling some, and I said, give me the 5 passes that you like the best. And those are the ones he's going to complete more often. And then you grow from that. Give me the 5 runs that you like the best, or movements. As a quarterback, we're going to move the quarterback some. What do you like the best? Do you lefty like better to his left? Does Connor like better to his right? And Max would say, I'm good either way. Got to turn my shoulders. But it's totally trying to get them confident enough that we're in their head and we know what they want on 4th down and 4. And like sometimes we'd even ask Drake, we'd get down to 4th and 3 and say, here's 2 calls, which one you want? And he might even say, I'd rather have this one, which was a 3rd one. And you want to go with what he wants, what he feels like is going to be there. And that's what we're doing with each of these guys right now. Chip's really, he's settled, he's calm, he can talk to him, he's not a yeller, he's not a screamer, but he can figure that out. And I think both quarterbacks started playing better when we let them have more input into their package. And that was something I felt after halfway through the spring. They're working with the white team some, that's pressure. They're working in a different offense some. Let's see what they like. And also it's telling when they tell you what they like. Because you're saying, I hadn't thought about that. But that, and then they'll say, why do you like that? And he goes with it. So, but they're more confident with things that they've completed the most.
Yeah. And just without obviously going through that wheelhouse entirely for both players, what would you say differentiates them in respect to the Connor versus the Max play?
I wouldn't do that because we don't have time, and I'd need video, and I'd need to show you, because there's not a lot of difference. I mean, both of them, they can both, I heard, I think you asked Power that after the scrimmage, and Power said they're both good, they both can run, they both can throw, and he's really right. It sounded like a political answer. I laughed when I heard him answer it. But Connor's faster than Max, but Max can run. And for 6'4", 230, he can move well enough to make some plays with his feet. And they both really have big arms. It gets back to decision making, and it gets back to accuracy with your throws. Those are going to be the things that separate quarterbacks in the end, and leadership. Those 3 things. And a lot of that happens over the summer. And it'll be easier for us to tell when Bryson's back out there, and John Copenhaver's back out there, and J.J. Jones and Kobe and all those guys are back on the field. It's going to be easier to see, and the freshmen will be more comfortable by then as well.
Yeah, I asked Power that, and actually his response was helpful, kind of along those lines. Last week, last week you mentioned it was a little bit open-ended with looking for a quarterback because it'd be a challenge to get someone to accept a fourth spot, if you will. They're leaving a fourth spot. How open-ended is it? And if somebody that can be a starter calls and wants to talk, do you guys listen?
Yeah, it's very interesting, Andrew, and we've had, it sounds like sometimes when you come in here, we're trying to be politically correct with you all, not say anything. All those are discussions we have. Is it fair to Connor and Max to bring in somebody right now when they've missed spring? How many reps can you give them? Because you got to get the other two ready to play. Are you bringing in a guy that might be the starter the next year? You bringing in a guy that might be the starter if somebody gets hurt or midseason, and that limits your choices. It's just like running back. There's not a whole lot of running backs that are excited about coming right now, and I understand that completely. If Adrian Peterson said one time I told him not to come, well, what I did is he asked me, am I a starter when I walk on campus? And I said, Cedric Benson's the starter, and he's really good, and you'll get to work with him. You'll be rotating in and out. He wanted to be the starter. Well, with Omarion, it's kind of the same thing. Everybody knows Omarion, so first question you get when they come in is, well, what about Omarion? I said, he's really good, and he's going to play, and he's going to get a lot of touches. So same thing with quarterback. How many can you get ready? So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We need a fourth one. How does it fit? It's got to be the right mix. It's got to be the right fit. It's got to be somebody who understands that the first day you get here, you're not going to be in that mix as a starter. And that's just what you have to tell them. You have to tell them the truth.
Matt, I wanted to ask about, the other day, Connor's first two passes were, 65 plus, touchdowns. Was that, I guess, one area you kind of, and it seemed like generally speaking, he took more shots down the field, compared to Max. Is that probably more a product of just him being more familiar with, the offense generally speaking? And also, was that something that you kind of identified as one of his, primary strengths going into the spring?
We have talked to both quarterbacks about overthrown balls. We felt like both have overthrown too many balls this spring. And we said it's like a punt. It's a wasted play. Give them a chance. We got really good receivers, so we'd rather you underthrow it than overthrow it. If you overthrow it, we got no chance. If you underthrow it, there may be pass interference. Guys are really talented. They can catch it, but don't. So I was really proud that Connor hit two deep balls. And I guess one of them was kind of a slant, a skinny post, and the other one was deep. And then Max missed one. I think Connor missed one of the deep balls as well. But really, it just depends on the matchup and who's in there. We don't even work on who's going to match up against who in the spring game. So it just happened more than anything else. And the thing that you do, you try to balance plays. So when Connor goes in and has 3 plays and Max has a 14-play drive, then you got to figure out when do you get Connor back out there. And people would say, well, you started Max. Well, no, they flipped coins. And I think Longo used to go rock, paper, scissors to see who got the start. So there's no big answer in who walked out there first. That's just not part of it. But you really have to do a great job of trying to make sure you balance numbers so you give them both fair chances. And you want them to have the same number with the blues and the whites if you can. So when you're making evaluations, you can say your test was the same. You were the same against the same group of people.
A bit of a fun question just away from the actual spring game, but we were talking some with Max and Connor about them going out and golfing together. I know Connor specifically mentioned a golf simulator at your house that he really enjoys. If you could just speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, when we built the house, there were a few things. If you're within a mile of your office, you can take unofficial visits to your house. I think it's a crazy rule, but if you're more than a mile, you can't take them to your house. So Sally cut out all possible houses that were more than a mile away from office. So that's what she wanted to look at. And then I don't get to play a lot of golf, so I like a simulator so I can go up and play Pebble Beach at night if I want to. And you can put on whatever you want. One night we were up there and we heard 10:30 at night, we thought all the players were gone. We heard somebody upstairs and it was Drake Sam, it was 10:30 at night,
Right.
and they said, we're on number 18 at Pebble Beach, coach, give us a few more minutes. I said, you got it. So the players can come over and play anytime they want to, and that's fun for us to watch them.
So Sally was the genius behind the house. I always thought you were on
No.
the mile away.
No, Sally's the genius behind everything, and the only mistake she made was marrying me, and I can't figure that out, but I'm a good recruiter.
How does the real estate her specialty, right?
Huh?
That's her specialty, right?
Yeah, she was, Sally got a architectural design degree from Cal Berkeley, actually got a nursing degree and didn't like blood, so that didn't work very well. So she got an architectural design degree and then became a builder and then became a developer here. She's got, I think, 4 neighborhoods in Chapel Hill that she developed. And she's just got an amazing knack of, she's so smart, but she's got an amazing knack of making things work. So she designed this building back 30 years ago with some other architects that were friends of hers, and now she's come in and just redone everything. And she's absolutely incredible at what she does.
Mack, I'm sorry to get you off the rails on that, but you were mentioning earlier about the wideouts. Like, I mean, if you're a guy like J.J. Jones, an outside receiver, I mean, should you be concerned about Jordan Shipp? Because it seems like that guy is coming fast.
Yes.
And could he be the rare true freshman that actually gets on the field, like, you know, at that position rather than special teams?
Yes, our whole focus, Adam, has been trying to figure out how do we win the games at the end. That's the whole focus, and one of those things is playing more players. So Lonnie's going to try to rotate 6 receivers at all times. So that means we're going to have really good players, sometimes that are on the bench. But like we said, can you play 40 plays at a very high level as compared to 80 when you get tired? And we think we've just worn out. And our schedule's tougher at the end, and we're worn out, and that hadn't worked. So we are going to force ourselves to play 2 deep. We're just going to force ourselves. And I've told the guys that's coaching. If you don't trust him, that means you hadn't coached him well enough, because we got good enough players. So come on, man, it's an excuse. But absolutely, Jordan Shipp has got as good a group of hands as just about anybody I've ever coached. I mean, I see him in practice and he just catches it with one hand, and he loves to compete. And those 3, Vari Green was, he started slow. He's come on at the end of spring and looked really good, and he's so fast. You know, he ran 4.3 in a camp. I mean, he's fast. He looked real fast Saturday.
Yeah, he ran by him.
He did. And then you've got Alex Taylor that makes another unbelievable catch. They said he was out of bounds. But somebody was all over him, and he still caught it, and he's looked like that all spring. So those 3 guys are really special, and we're not going to worry about age. We're just going to put them out there. Anything before I go to the defense?
Real quick, Chris Cullen was out in the spring game. Did he get hurt like the week leading up?
Yeah.
Was it, what was he kind of doing?
Jeremy he was doing great. He caught a 60-yard pass the day before he got hurt, or maybe the day he did get hurt. And I mean, just outran everybody.
We were out there for that.
Oh, were you? I think he can be really special. But he's fine. I think he bumped his head or something. It's not something that's going to keep him out tomorrow.
Tweet that bumped head.
Jeremy would just say upper body. I think that would be it. Okay? Defense? Ready? TV's ready? Okay. Desmond Evans had by far his best spring. He is, again, I'm so impressed with what Ted Monachino's been able to do. And those guys want to play in the pros. And he's had 16 years and coached some of the best players to ever play. So when he talks to them about things, it's important. Listens. Bo Atkinson would be another guy that could play on the blue team. He's had an outstanding spring, and we're looking at the number of penalties that the pass rushers force. How many times were they forced to hold you? We're looking at the sacks. We're looking at tackles for loss, and Bo and Dez are way up there. You've got Jacoby Cowan, who did some individual drills at the end that'll be well. And then we're very impressed with Daniel Anderson. They're calling the old jack position rush. for you when you're talking about it, but Daniel Anderson's 240 plus pound freshman that had great grades, and he's been very impressive this spring. We feel like he could play either of the two spots. And then you start looking at the rush position. Kamen Rucker, one of the best in the country. I think he was fourth most productive. And then Jay Brown Harvey got some things fixed in his lower body, so he'll be full speed. He wasn't out there Saturday. Tyler Thompson's gaining weight. He's about 225 now, and he's really been impressive. Curtis Simpson really got our attention some. So there are a lot of great young players at that position. Malachi Hamrick showed up Saturday. He can really run. And then you say, well, you got a lot of people at that position. One of the things we've told the guys, if you're not in the 2 deep, you're going to have to be on 3 special teams. That's going to be your way to make the trip. And then if you're on the travel squad because of special teams, then you'll be able to earn your right at the position. But you're going to have to be on special teams, minimum 2, hopefully all 4, if you're not a guy who's in the 2 deep rotation. And that should really help us on special teams get better. Then nose guard, defensive tackle, you got Kevin Hester, and Kevin's played a lot of ball. And he did some great things this spring. We said Travis Shaw looked like the Travis Shaw we've been waiting on for all spring. He's really stepped it up and been high energy. Joel Starlings has made some plays. He and Rodney Laura are young guys, but Joel is he's 320 pounds. He's 6'4", and he's just got to be more consistent. But he's got a chance as we go through. And then you've got Jabari Ritchie had by far his best spring. He's quick. Jeff's moving the guys a lot more, so that's Jabari's game. And then we're very excited about Peter Pozanski and Leroy Jackson coming in. Defensive linemen can play as freshmen if they're strong enough. And both of those guys are really, really strong. Leroy is a great baseball player. He's the fastest guy on his baseball team. He's hit some home runs. He's very athletic. So we feel like those guys will have a chance. And then we've got another guy that we're planning on coming in at defensive tackle from the portal. And I can't talk about him today because the paperwork's not done. Is that fair, Pat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you go to linebacker. You've got Power Eccles, who we were smart with this spring. We wanted him to coach and do a lot of things and help us, but he's had enough hits. Amari Campbell has really been good. He has stepped up, and he plays older than he is. And he's gotten a lot of snaps this spring, but he's ready to go. And then you've got this group of Ashton Woods, Michael Short, Caleb Lavalley, and Cade Law, who all really played well. We were impressed with all of them at one time. It's amazing that Cade Law was a baseball pitcher at Vanderbilt, and he comes in and had never played linebacker. He played quarterback in high school. And he's doing a good job. He's got to tackle better, but he's all over the place. LaValle got well, and he really had a great 3 weeks at the end. Michael Short keeps getting better, and we were very impressed with Ashton Woods. He pulled up a little bit Thursday before the spring game. I wish you could have seen him. He's going to be a real good player, and I wish he could have been out there on Saturday because that would have been fun for you all to watch. And then you've got Evan Bennett and Cruz Law, 2 really talented young guys coming in. So you'll look at them and see where they are. So we've got to get a 3rd and 4th linebacker. We got enough folks, but we've got to, again, like the receivers, we got to separate. Some of them have to be special teams. In fact, all of the backup linebackers will probably be on special teams, but who's number 3 and who's number 4? And that'll be something that we have to finalize when we get to the fall. Marcus Allen's a great corner for us. He wasn't out there this spring, but it forced us to look at Tyran Stewart. And when you're all talking to him, I think I mentioned it to you, but his nickname's Dooley. And I asked him why, and he said, grandmother called me that. And I said, is there a reason she called you that? And he said, no, she just started calling me Dooley. So we call him Dooley because that's easier than Tyran. And then you've got Khalil Conley, who played star, he played corner, he played some safety, he played all over the place. Stick Lane really stepped up. You saw his hit on Saturday. He's been doing that all spring. And the truth is, Stick didn't come in until June. Then he pulled his hamstring, so he didn't get to play healthy until probably 3rd or 4th game. So he's He's really had a good spring. DeAndre Boykins will work at star and safety, both. He was out there doing some drills this spring. He didn't get any contact, but he actually got to do enough drill work that his knee looks fine. Will Hardy had an outstanding spring. You've got Jalen Thompson and Jaden Patterson and Malcolm Ziegler, all young safeties that can really run. Malcolm probably played the most out of that group, but they're all really fast, talented guys. And then Jakeem Harris has really impressed us. He and Will Hardy were in yellow jerseys all spring because of their injuries, but they're hitters. Stick's a hitter, so it's going to be a very physical group at safety. And then Elijah Huzzy is who he is. He didn't play a lot Saturday, but he's really talented. We like him at corner, so hopefully he can stay there now. We've got enough depth at star. We lost everything last year when we had to move him to star, and then he got hurt at star, so it just depleted us because he's one of the better players around. Ty Adams has stepped up this spring. We're really impressed with him. He had more interceptions than anybody early. He's an outstanding athlete. And Zion Ferguson's going to be really good. He's tall, can run. So those guys got a lot of work at corner as well. Caleb Cost only was out there for 3 practices because he had baseball. And we said you only have 20 hours a week, so you've got to be able to make sure you stay within NCAA rules about how many hours you can work per week. But when he was out there, he was very impressive, and he's excited, and he'll be back now full speed ahead. We moved Trey Miller basically to star, and he's done really well there. He's a hitter and a good pass cover. And then Ty White is a lot like Trey Miller. He's athletic and active. So we feel like we've got more numbers on defense, we've got more guys to play, and now we've got to have the confidence to put them all out there. Special teams, Liam Boyd did a good job of kicking off, so we feel good there. We were inconsistent with our punts, and we were inconsistent with our field goals. And that's a concern that we've got to address, and something else we're looking at in the portal. Spencer Triplett's a really good snapper, and he's been that since he's been here. So he'll take Drew Little's place, and we feel good about him moving forward. Any questions on defense before I finish up here with a few things?
Yeah, Mack, you talked about at the star, Trey Miller, kind of being there. It seemed like he played a lot of those snaps on Saturday. Just like in what ways did that, at that position specifically, have you seen him step up throughout the spring?
Yes, you've got to have a hitter there. It's very physical, but you've got to have a guy who can cover on the pass, because everybody wants to get your 4 wideouts now and spread them out and get the safety on one of your best receivers. And he's a cover guy. Caleb Costa's a cover guy. Ty White can cover. So that's what we're looking at that position, and we feel like all 3 of those guys can do that.
At least right now, Mack, is Trey Miller the leader in the clubhouse, so to speak, in terms of like a first team star?
It would be a fight between he and Caleb Costa when Caleb gets back. Caleb, when he gets through with baseball, will be through.
Sure.
He'll be football all summer, and then all fall. Our agreement was that Scott can have him in baseball season, and we can bar him when he's got days off. But we didn't hit him. We made sure he was healthy for baseball. But we think he has a chance to be really special.
A lot of baseball guys.
A lot of baseball guys. We have the potential to have 3. Barry Green is a really good baseball player. Timmy Lawson was a top draft choice, possibly. So all those guys could be playing baseball next spring.
I know you've said in the past you do like guys that play other sports. What specifically is it about baseball guys that maybe kind of translates a little bit or helps them with football?
I think it's just easier to play both because it's not 2 physical sports. You've got a little time between the end of football and when baseball starts. When we had Julius Peppers, he'd go from bowl game to immediately go to basketball the next day. And it's the wear and tear, not only on your body, but emotionally. And we've told the guys, until it affects you emotionally or until it affects your grades, you can play both sports. But if at any time either one of those, if you're worn out, you're not doing well, you're not having fun, then you shouldn't play. Anything else?
With the 3rd and 4th linebackers, do you also want to play that 3rd and 4th linebacker more? I felt like last year so much riding on 70 power late games, maybe that had that effect.
Yes, I think it's one of the real mistakes that we've made. We just haven't played enough players in the offensive line, at linebacker. That's why for us to get where we need to get, we've got to have enough depth that we can play 2 deep for sure. At Texas, we had 3 deep, and we just rotate them. That makes you better for the next year. Morale's better. They're not all wanting to get in the transfer portal because they're playing, and you have a chance to stay healthier. We've had too many injuries, and I think some guys are just worn out. So we're working hard to figure out a system where we will definitely put them in and put them in early in games and play them. We're not going to have linebackers playing 900 plays anymore. Regarding
Daniel Anderson, looked like he was playing some traditional defensive end and rush the other day. Is he more suited for both because it looks like the rush position's a little bit more like an upright defensive end than the jack was? Is that kind of why he fits in there?
Yeah, we're going to play more 4-man front some, and he'd just be a pass rusher, which he does that really well. And that guy's got to take on the big guys coming at him. So at 240, 245, he's more equipped to do that than some of the 210 guys. J. Brown Harvey's 245 now, I think. He's gotten a lot of weight. He's gotten a lot bigger. So Malachi and Curtis and Tyler Thompson all have to gain some weight.
Because Coach Collins talked to us a week and a half ago. He mentioned something about Dez and Bo also playing the rush. So it looks like those 2 positions are more in sync now than maybe they were under Gene's defense.
I think that's fair. They still drop some, but you need to be able to rush the passer and take on the run as well.
Back between now and August, what does Travis Shaw have to do to continue this sense of positive momentum that he's got working for himself?
I think the number one, you got to figure out your goals. You got to always watch your weight. He's done that. He's really working hard. We've got a tremendous nutrition staff, and they're working really hard with a plan for each kid. And then the second thing he's got to do is just get so he can push himself. He got a little tired Saturday at the end, but he stayed out there. He went back out there. In the past, he wouldn't have.
Right.
Nope. So everybody's pulling for him. The kids are pulling for him. I'm so happy for him. He practiced every practice all spring, and he hadn't done that for 2 years. So I think it's just confidence in himself and confidence that he can do it. And he is such a force. He ran over Willie, just ran right over him once, and he can do that. And he's seeing that. And Ted pushes him now. He pushes him hard. So he is all over him. But he loves them, and they appreciate that, I think. So I'm really excited about him moving forward. He could be a difference for us on defense.
Some of the guys have said that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Just staying on the interior of the D-line.
We've got competition at quarterback. You all are in competition.
I just, my mind was getting my left ear. I didn't even know he was talking at first.
Maybe we can play golf after this, AJ.
No, that would be ugly.
With the defensive line, I know you say you can't talk about the guy you got yesterday, but now that is happening there, looks like you have 4, maybe for the 2 inside spots. Do you think you're done in the portal at D tackle, or will you keep looking in the portal for more D tackles?
What you do is you look for the best players available. And if somebody comes in the portal that's really, really good, that likes us, and it's at that position, you look at it. But that's just what you do. It's the portal's expensive now with players. So everybody says, why don't they get that one? Well, give us more money. Check your NIL budget that you're spending, and you can second guess me more. But I think that's the biggest thing. If we see a great player at just about any position that's interested in us, and it would usually have to be somebody from around here, it would usually have to be somebody we recruited, because we're not going to get that guy that looks at the 5 that are spending all the money. Every time it's coming up, I always look to see who they're looking at. And I said, no, not us. But that's the truth. It's facts, and that's okay. That's what we're doing. But I do feel like that we'll keep looking. I think the two coming in are really good. And the two young ones that played Saturday are getting better and better. So I think we're going to be fine.
Regarding Ted, some of the guys have expressed an appreciation for transparency, that he has a way of telling them the truth without kind of screwing up the message by making it emotional and personal. Is that exactly the kind of guy Travis needed?
Yes, he's what everybody needs. He's perfect for me because he'll tell me, I think we should be doing this way instead of this way. And he can do it without making you mad or making you feel like he's yelling at you. He's high energy. He's a lot like Jeff. They're very similar to each other. He's very positive. He's going to be all over them about every little thing, from being on time to sitting up straight in a chair to answering questions direct to being more confident. And they know that he's going to help them get to the NFL. He said, I sat in 16 draft meetings. I went to 16 combines. So if you want to go, listen, man, I know what it takes to get you there. So he's got a resume that just oozes out to them that says, I got you, I want to go there. And he says, then show me, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me. And this team's been that way. We've told this team, I don't want to hear you say you want to win. Everybody wants to win. I don't want to hear you say you want to go to the NFL. Everybody wants to go to the NFL. Show me, man. Show me. Be on time. Do everything right. Bust your tail during practice. Make plays. And we've graded every practice to see who's making plays. And then Jeff puts it up on the board on defense. Here's the guy with the force the penalties. Here's the guy with the tackles for loss. Here are the guys that had the sacks. And if you're not in that group, you're not doing your job. So it's been very, very evident with all of them. And that's why they've appreciated Travis, because he's shown up every day on that list.
Mack, what are the things that you've said it several times now about having a feeling like it kind of feels like the 2022 team. What are the things, other than, you said nobody's talking about this, but like, are there things that have happened in practice or around this building where you've been like, aha, that reminds me of 2 years ago? Yes,
they've practiced really hard every practice. Number one, we haven't had to motivate them to practice. And they've been competitive, and they've really taken it to heart. If they weren't doing well, on their side of the ball, they picked it up, and there was great leadership. The second thing is they have fun with each other, and we eat lunch with them every day. So the whole staff's down there every day to see them, and they're cutting up and picking at each other, and that's fun. They don't have animosity. They're not mad. And then I walk in the pregame meeting on Saturday, and it was a buzz, man. They were so excited about a spring game, where a lot of people, it's like pulling teeth. What are we doing this far? And I got to get through this and not get hurt. And, another hour and I'm through for spring. They were singing. They had started a dance contest before I got in there, and they were grading them. It was fun just to walk in there and see kids with a tremendous amount of pressure they have on them in this sport right now. There's more pressure than ever before. There's more drugs out there. There's more alcohol out there. There's more mental health issues out there with the transfer portal and with the NIL and what are they making, and why aren't you paying me more? And they've got, it's a great time for them, but they've got more on them than any of us ever had when we were in school. And these kids are happy. They're handling it. I met with the parents, and all the coaches met with the parents on Saturday, and we told them the truth. If your son's playing well enough to play, we're going to play him, but we've got to win games. We love all your sons. We'll take care of them off the field equally. On the field, we got to play the ones that play the best. And you're a parent. You can't decide that. You love your son enough. You want him happy. I got it. I got grandkids. I won't play them. That's just what it is. I don't like the coach for not playing. I never met him. So it's just part of the deal. You want your kids happy. You want your grandkids happy. But we got to win. So we've got a lot of really smart, good people in this building that are looking at making a decision on who should play and who shouldn't, and who we should recruit and who shouldn't. And I trust them. And they're doing a great job with it.
Matt, can you talk about your new addition, Brian Simmons? What addition to, I know he can't coach on the field or anything, but what addition to him being an ear in your players' ear?
Yeah, Charlie, he's going to come down and talk to you after me. So let me make two more statements here, and then I'll address Brian. Recruiting is going really well. I'm so excited about the guys that we're getting to commit, and there's some more coming. This is starting to be a great recruiting class, not just a good one. So we're excited about that. The portal we've addressed. We're looking at a few positions, specifically quarterback, but we'll take the best available at any of the other positions if something pops up that we like and he's interested in. The upcoming off-season schedule for the players, they're in a discretionary period right now, which means that we can't work them out. They get to do what they want for a couple of weeks. That's a NCAA rule, and this is the time of the year they do that. They are having their exit meetings with their coaches. Would we have somebody else go in the portal? We might, after a coach tells them where he stands. And I've told the coaches to be very, very direct and honest with every player. Let him know exactly, here's where you fit. Here's where you are on special teams. Here's how much we think you're going to play at this time. It could change. But so somebody could feel like they're not going to have a fair chance to play and they could leave. We don't anticipate that, but that could happen today, could happen tomorrow. It's just the world we're living in. Quality control and analyst, we feel like it should be approved for the fall. We think it's going to be approved for the fall, and that would be a huge asset to us because we've got so many great coaches that could really give input. I'm hoping that happens because they also need to be coaching because it'll help them get jobs when they get out of here. And then we just talked about Brian Simmons. I love Brian Simmons. He was a tremendous player for us here. He was an All-American, a first-round draft choice. He was really good in the NFL. He has always been such a quality person, and now he's an outstanding father and husband, and he has meant so much to this program already. Coach Moody did a great job. What Brian's got that the rest of us don't have is he played. He's been where the players want to go. He's that guy. He's got a great life, but he earned it. Was a running back in high school at Newbern when we signed him, and he came in here and redshirted. So he can sit and tell every player, here's what's going to happen to you. If you want to get where you got to go, that's not good enough. You're a second team player here, and you think you're going to be in the NFL? Not going to happen, man. Wake up. Wake up. You're going to be late. You're going to loaf in practice. I'm a scout. I'm marking you down. I'm not going to draft you. Period. So he has really gotten in their ears, and they listen. I've been so impressed with what he's been able to do in a short period of time. The other thing he's done, and then I'll turn it over to him, is he and Freddie Kitchens and Ted Monachino got on a Zoom call the other day with all of our draftable players, and they were able to tell them, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's happening with the media that's positive. Here's what's happening with the media that's negative. Here's what's going to happen to you between now and the draft. And here's what's going to happen on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And Coach, what if I get a call as a free agent and they don't offer me any money? You got to figure out what are the teams that need you the most. It's about making the team. It's not about your free agent money. Coach, when do I go? After I'm drafted. If you're a first-round draft choice, you'll be there that day. Next day, if not, it may be 2 weeks, maybe 10 days to 2 weeks. What do I wear? Where do I stay? What? So Brian and these guys can help them. What happens in that room on game day? Or on draft day? What should I do during the draft? Should I go play golf? Should I sit at my home? Should I have a party? What do I do? What do I do all day while I wait? And then those guys, along with our other coaches, are going to have availability for them anytime this week for the draft, but also during the draft. So they have said, we are on call. We're your consultants. So if something comes up, you got a question, you call us and ask us immediately. It was funny, they said, I think it's Freddie that said, if they call you and you don't answer, they're not calling back. So you watch that phone, man. You sit there with it. When it gets to be your turn, when you're down to your bunch, they're moving on. They're going to take that free agent that answers. So don't miss it. So just talking to Geo Biggers and And British and some of the guys the other day, they said, Coach, that's unbelievable how much better I feel now that I've got a better feel of what's happening. Should have done it for years, but we're doing it this year, and they're going to have another Zoom call with them on Wednesday, right before the draft, so they can just answer any other questions. But with that, is Brian here, Pat?
Yeah.
Matt, can I ask you one more thing?
Yes.
Just since we're kind of on the draft a little bit, I mean, that's coming up. For you with Drake, this is a guy you've known since he was little, you know, like, he's about to be a first round pick. I mean, just what are your thoughts as he, gets set to be a high draft pick on Thursday night, and just the journey that he has made, since you've known him?
Yeah, the getting a college scholarship's a dream for young people. So that's a next chapter. And I told guys that even committed to us this weekend, you don't realize how few people in America get scholarships. And then to get a scholarship where you want to go, that's really, really unusual. So you've earned the right, and when you've earned that right, you should be very, very proud of it. Going to the NFL is a dream. We tell our guys, we want you to have fun. We want you to all graduate. We want to win every game. We want you to better prepare for life after football. Those are the goals here. Your dream's the NFL. Your dream is to have a great family. And your dream is to have enough money you can spend what you want to. But you can't get to your dreams before you get to your goals. So now these guys, this week, they're working on dreams. And it's Drake's accomplished everything that you could expect him to in 2 years. I can't even imagine what would happen if he stayed 4. Can't even imagine, but he's too good. He can't stay. And somebody's going to be really, really lucky to get him. And I wish I could be there. We have our charity in Austin this week, which is always the case when it comes up. But I'm excited about all these guys, and I've told them that. And the good thing about them, they've all got their degrees. So if it doesn't work out for them now, or if they don't make that 90-man roster, they're going to be good. I'll never forget Jonathan Perry called me from preseason camp with the Tampa Bay Bucks. And he just called me out of the blue, and he said, Coach, thank you. And I said, what? What for, bud? He said, I'm going to get cut. I'm not going to make it, but there's a lot of my buddies that are going to get cut, and none of them have degrees. And I've already got a job at a law firm. So he said, I'm good. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to make it, but that's okay. I'm ready to start my life, and without North Carolina and my degree, I wouldn't be doing that. So I'm proud of these guys. I'm excited for them. I was talking to Mark May Friday night at the table event, which they raised a whole bunch of money for kids to eat in Orange County, which is so cool. It's one of the great things that NIL has brought forth for us to all learn. And sitting there talking to Mark, they're all nervous because they're uncertain. And I said, you know what? Being nervous doesn't do any good. Be anxious, be excited. But you've earned the right. So it'll take you where you want to go. Then you got to make a team. And then it all starts over again, and that's what Brian can talk to you about now. Okay? Brian Simmons.